As our society abandons its deep-seated moral compass and devotion to family and values, we are plunged into an age of decadence and debauchery, at least by religious standards. With the historic accounts of many fallen empires, there seems to be a pattern that societies follow before succumbing to our own shortcomings and disregard to what is unfortunately considered an esoteric understanding of where we're headed. Are we doomed to fail? And if so, how soon and how can it be prevented? The book, The Tale of Empires, by Sir John Glubb, describes 6 different ages of society that leads it into despair, chaos, and eventual collapse. His list pertains to the empires that have already fallen, so I will do my best to relate this list to modern day. Before I start this list, if you are new to my channel and enjoy my content, then don't forget to hit like and subscribe, as I'm sure YouTube will not hesitate to sync my videos due to their sensitive topics. Sir John Glubb believed that societies are doomed to repeat their past because their study of their history is superficial and prejudiced, which is a practice we see in many universities today. Call the past what you want, but our disdain for our history is the reason we are forgetting it, and thus doomed to repeat it. The first age on his list is the Age of Pioneers, which founded Jamestown in 1607 in an attempt to escape religious persecution and the prospect of prosperous land. No doubt the first settlers were in constant conflict with the natives. They were also native tribes that helped the settlers of Jamestown flourish and adapt to their land. Now, of course, there is debate that the natives were first to settle in America, which of course they were. The original natives traveled to America from Russia and Asia via the Bering Strait, but were keen to continue their nomadic lifestyle instead of a grounded stationary society. The next age was the Age of Conquest. The settlers expanded out of colonial America after the Treaty of Paris, moving to the west in search of more land and opportunities and to escape the limitations of the sea. Over many decades, people were converted into the customs, culture, and religion brought by colonial frontiersmen, changing the entire landscape of what was once a vast open land, establishing trades and businesses, and eventually pushing us into an industrial era, which overlapped into the next age, known as commerce. The Age of Commerce in Western societies is probably one of the most notable differences between us and our predecessors. From 1790 to modern day, our commercial industry has rose to the stratosphere, creating opportunities and products never enjoyed by our previous empires. Our technological advancements, whether or not for the greater good, supersedes any technology from the past, which will inevitably be the case with any newer society with sufficient means and resources. Unfortunately, in Western society, as new technology does help and assist us, it can also hinder our cognitive thinking, abuse our subconscious, and manipulate our already fragile state of how we view ourselves and our surroundings. Number 4 is known as the Age of Affluence. On the surface, America looks nice and wealthy, with many years of continued profit and prosperity ahead of us. But we are in an alarming amount of debt to many countries that include China, Japan, Brazil, Ireland, the UK, Switzerland, Luxembourg, Cayman Islands, and Hong Kong. Not only is our country in debt, but most citizens are in debt as well. Whether it be a mortgage, student loans, credit cards, or simply behind on bills, living paycheck to paycheck, it puts roughly 70% of Americans' population in debt. Knowing this, we still spend money we don't have to impress people who are too busy doing the same to pay attention.
God damn it, an entire generation pumping gas, waiting tables, slaves with white collars. Advertising has us chasing cars and clothes, working jobs we hate so we can buy shit we don't need.
Instead of people pursuing their real interest, they get degrees in a career they are miserable working simply because it pays the most. True happiness is internal, not external. Number 5 is the Age of Intellect. This age is particularly interesting in the Western world. Unlike Greek and Roman times, where massive buildings were erected for study and filled with teachers and scholars that devoted their lives to philosophy, we instead have all but completely eroded the benefits of the modern library, and in its place, we have erected arrogance and hubris in our ability to retain and expel information. Everyone seems to be an expert on a subject and have no problem letting you know it. Now, there's no problem in teaching for the sake of broadening one's mind and view, but it's important to be modest and truthful about what you know. If we pretend to know everything, then anyone you interact with will already assume this, Therefore, you will not be subject to any new information. The ability to know something instantly is also relatively new. Google has an instant answer for any question you might have. The issue is that you didn't really work to find the answer, and are less likely to know the answer again in the future, which binds our minds to the whim of our technology. Finally, we reach the age of decadence, which in our society is currently overlapping the previous age. This age usually comes when an empire has had wealth for a long period of time. Its citizens, out of decades of having whatever they want, become spoiled and selfish. They start to become obsessed with goods and materials and devoted to sex and pleasure instead of enhancing their spirituality. Religion seems to wean out as it becomes viewed more as oppressive and a hindrance to progression. Debauchery and perversion start to take the place of morality and duty, and the modern family is disassembled, as most want to be free to take part in the frivolity and not to be tied down to commitment or family. And what we are seeing most now is political discourse. Lifelong friends and family are literally disowning one another for their political affiliation, creating a divide of principles between people, states, and the nation itself. It's moral to stand for what you believe, but make sure it is your own thoughts that brought you to that belief, and not a manipulated effort to fit in with a common ideology. This political polarization will not do us any favors in the event of a collapse. All it does is manifest a predetermined demographic of enemies. If we continue to divide ourselves, the collapse of our foundation is not only certain, but will arrive much faster. Be wise from whom you seek advice and wisdom. The heroes and voices of reason in a declining empire are actors, singers, athletes, and any idol that rose to prominence on their ability to entertain. Frequent outbreaks of diseases are also a sign. Take the current situation in China regarding the coronavirus. The population of China is so absurdly dense that it is impossible to run checks on the food quality in every market on every street. A perfect example of how mass population growth can create poor sanitary management. The average reign of an empire is roughly 250 years. If you start with the Declaration of Independence, then we are currently in year 243. So no doubt you are asking yourself, is this inevitable? Can we stop it or even slow it down? Unfortunately, I don't have the answer. I only have ideas on what I think can help. Fear plays a big role in how we live. Uncertainty can make us forget ourselves and our values. Now, this may not resonate with a lot of you, but my personal belief is that this is not our only life. Where we go beyond this one, I'm not sure, but I feel it is irrational to be scared of something natural. More people than you think have subscribed to the ideology of a single life, which when adopted can make someone live a carefree, pleasure-seeking, self-accommodating life without morals or a sense of purpose and duty. But the ones who advocate such a message, mainly entertainers, have never experienced death. For example, say you are made up of energy, and if something as simple as a human being have learned how to recycle, then why wouldn't the universe recycle and reuse your energy when your vessel has retired? Adopting some core principles to live by wouldn't be a bad idea either. Create some moral guidelines for yourself that you won't break from. Live life with purpose and strength and help others whenever possible. And we could all do with a little less judgment. If someone's opinion is different than yours, instead of immediately reverting to an argumentative closed-ear approach, try listening to their point of view. The worst thing we can do in a dialogue is reject any new information. Now, these are some simple concepts, but ones I think can shift us slightly into the right direction. I try not to consider any situation hopeless, but it will take a combined effort of us all to turn the tide of despair. Let me know what you think of the current state of the Western society in the comments section, or if you have any ideas that might help. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and as always, thank you for listening.